Morning. I'd like to call this Community and Economic Development Committee to order. Can we have a call to roll call, please?
Commissioner Lloyd, Commissioner Winfrey. Here. Commissioner Ellenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker. Commissioner Kuzina. Here. Commissioner Wayhill. Commissioner Davis.
Approval of the minutes.
So move.
Support.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a public comment to the committee? Any public comments to the committee? Last call for public comments to the committee. Hearing none, we'll move on to communications. And today we have a presentation from our partner at the University of Michigan Flint. So I'd like to invite Troy Rosenkrantz to call up. Did I say your last name right? Yep. Troy is going to come up to the microphone and talk about the CEDS plan, which is an acronym for Community and Economic Development. Well, he'll tell you what it stands for. So, Troy, take it over.
Welcome. Thank you for allowing me to present this material to you and everybody in attendance. My name is Troy Rosenkrantz from the Office of Economic Development at the University of Michigan Flint. On your screen, you'll see the rest of my colleagues. Dr. Paula Nass, who is sitting here as well, is our director. I'm the GIS Center Manager, so I do a lot of the GIS and data analysis within our office and for a variety of municipalities across the county. Philip Thompson is our Community Relations Manager. Shelby Coates, our Marketing and Communications Coordinator. David Moreau is our EDA University Center Director. Kelly is our Administrative Specialist. And then we have Nick Custer, who's Innovation Solutions Manager within our office. So again, like Dr. Brown said, I'm going to be talking about the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Plan that was created. It's kind of the first one that's been created in a very long time, if not ever truly a CEDS plan. It's very similar to other plans that have happened within our county and region. But what a CEDS plan is basically locally based, regionally driven economic development plan to kind of build capacity, guide within the next 5 years, kind of the strategy to help economic development and community development within a specific region. So with this CEDS plan, you're allowed or have a better chance of receiving EDA specifically funding, but a lot of federal funding looks at these CEDS plans as a, yes, this is what their plan is. We can kind of give them funding to help assist with that plan. And the CEDS plan is also what is needed to develop or be designated as an economic development district or EDD, which currently Genesee County is not a part of one. And so that's one of the goals, as you'll see, going forward. So required components, for first we had to do kind of a summary background of the economy. So that includes just people, who's there, kind of basis of jobs or unemployment or a variety of different aspects of the regional economy for our counties. Then we did a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We did that with our strategy committee or our steering committee that we had about 37 people on. And then we looked at doing a strategic direction and action plan. So that's basically based on our summary background, kind of where we're at, a SWOT analysis, also kind of where we're at, we can kind of then do a plan forward. And then we also needed that evaluation framework to be able to understand how do we actually evaluate that we're doing the things that we're saying we're going to do. So just to show you the EDA investment priorities currently, these are the 7. So a lot of things can fall underneath these, but this is kind of where the EDA is focused with their funding. And this is kind of the things we kept in mind as we developed this plan. So these kind of a little more specifically potential areas of focus, a variety of different areas that you could look into, not only healthcare, but also sustainability, infrastructure, education, community, equity and inclusion is a very large focus of the EDA. As well as the whole entire government and everybody is. So that needs to be kind of woven in to this plan as well. So this is the region that we are focused on. It's GLS Region 5, Genesee, Lapeer, and Shiawassee counties. We're these 3 and one other region of Michigan are the only 2 regions within the city, or within the state that don't currently have a CEDS plan or didn't currently have a CEDS plan and are not an EDD designated by the EDA. So I just want to give you some basic region demographics. I'm not going to go through the whole summary background information. That's all within the final SEDS document that I did share with Dr. Brown earlier this week. But within Genesee, within this region, we did lose population as a whole, with predominantly a lot of that being in Genesee County, mostly within the city of Flint. As you can see on the right, looking at the most populous cities with the change from the 2010 to the 2020 census information. So the strategic direction or an action plan starts with a vision statement, and then our goals, objectives, and strategies. That's kind of how it is laid out. So with the vision statement, we kind of just encapsulated all of the 5 goals that we ended up coming out with. GLS Region 5 will strive to build a strong, diverse, equitable economy in the 3-county region by supporting infrastructure needs, expanding workforce and business development, and building regional capacity. So with these, I'll go through kind of each of those goals briefly. The first goal is infrastructure. We want to strengthen and expand infrastructure across the region to create and diversify opportunities for community and economic development. And then with the objectives, it's kind of bullet points of where we want to go and how we might want to achieve this goal. So for example, the first one that was kind of come up with the strategy committee was to perform an infrastructure needs assessment. And that's kind of the goal number 1 within, or the objective number 1 within that goal. To understand where we're currently at and where might room for expansion be, where gaps might exist within all 3 counties. Because obviously within these 3 counties, we have a very urban center with Flint, and then it gets rural very fast as you get out even within Genesee County, but then especially in Shiawassee and Lapeer counties. Also advocate for the utilization of current existing infrastructure, then obviously promote the use and creation of resilient, clean, and efficient infrastructure as this is being built going forward, and then pursue funding from all sources to advance these goals. And then we have a couple of evaluation metrics there listed to kind of basically say, okay, we're checking this off as we go along through these next 5 years to make sure we're on track so that in 5 years when we have to redo this or revise this or update this, we can say, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is kind of what came in the last 5 years. So we're evaluating that as we go along. The second goal is business development. So again, just developing an equitable environment to attract, retain, and develop businesses and entrepreneurship within our region. So it's continuing to develop and provide access to resources, expand our startup and entrepreneurial resources within the 3 counties, assist businesses expanding their access to capital and funding. So again, just providing these opportunities for people to create, start, grow throughout, and those evaluation metrics kind of reflect that as well. Goal C is capacity building. So a big piece that we kept hearing within the SWOT analysis, within summary, is that there's a lot of pieces going on that people aren't talking to each other. There are silos occurring. And so building that regional capacity within all 3 counties or within each county themselves can help provide a little bit better capacity, a little bit better efficiency in developing the rest of these goals. And so first one will be to create that economic development district, or the EDD, which basically designates the organization that will help implement and evaluate this SEDS plan, but also allows somebody to be able to be the point of contact for a variety of different nonprofits or governments or municipalities that are going after these federal dollars to help kind of guide the way, so to speak. And then other ones just develop innovative staff solutions to help increase expertise and capacity, whether that be, for example, a grant writer for all municipalities within a county. I know some people in Shiawassee County have kind of started that process of being able to provide that capacity for people to be able to write the grants. So a lot of people don't know exactly how to write the grant or where they need to find or what the rules are or requirements. So having a person that is designated to do that would be an example of building that capacity across the regional landscape. And then obviously work with other governments, agencies within the region to improve communication, ordinance creation, zoning, make it more widespread, similar, because a lot of different townships, cities, whatever it might be, have different ways to zone things. And so it can get confusing for people that are looking maybe to bring a business here or whatever it might be. So simplifying that. And then improving disaster preparedness throughout the region, whether that be man-made, whether that be nature, climatic disasters, whatever it might be, but improve that preparedness in that capacity. Then workforce development, to basically provide avenues to strengthen and retain a strong, diverse workforce. Very similar to the business development, but this is truly work looking at educational programs, technical assistance programs, kind of building not only from just general adults education, but all the way down to K-12 to kind of create pipelines to either the universities or trade schools or whatever it might be to kind of assist with that talent recruitment, the workforce being more trained and better prepared to enter the workforce. And this one has the most evaluation metrics by looking at population growth, bringing people in, and keeping people here, looking at wage and benefits, again, K-12 partnerships, and a variety of other things. And then the last one is placemaking. So this one isn't directly tied to necessarily economic development dollars or infrastructure dollars, where like the EDA really can't fund a lot of what's happening with placemaking just because of that. Their programs don't focus on those things. But having it in here allows you to go after other federal dollars that do go into housing or housing assistance or beautification or outdoor recreation. So a lot of that, another part was placemaking in terms of making it attractive to young adults to stay here instead of moving to a larger city or moving out of state. Helping out the international community, making this area a haven for people to come as they're immigrating to the country, to be able to come here and know there's good resources for them to be able to use to get a job, live their daily life. And then obviously infrastructure outside in terms of outdoor recreation opportunities, tourist attraction, bringing green infrastructure, all of those things kind of go within this goal. So those are the 5 goals that kind of came out of our SEDS process. And so this has been submitted in the last couple months. We're just waiting for final approval to then be able to make it say, yes, this is absolutely approved by the EDA. And then we can start using it to say, hey, you're going after this grant, reference this, and this will help strengthen your argument or strengthen your grant proposal to get these funds to your community to help out derive this community and economic development. And so the next steps, again, doing what I'm doing today, presenting this to you, making you aware of it so that you can look it over, see it. If you have questions, ask myself, Dr. Nass, in terms of just making people aware, I guess, so that they can use it, to their benefit. And then evaluate this plan throughout the next 5 years. Again, the EDA requires you every 5 years to redo it, so to speak, but you have to kind of redo a summary background, redo the SWOT analysis, come up with now the strategic action plan might stay the same, might change. It just depends on what's happened the next 5 years. So that's kind of what the next steps are. So here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you don't have a question right now. You think of one later, next couple days, next week, next month, whatever it might be, please reach out. I'm happy to help and assist any questions that might occur. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Troy. And we do meet with our friends, our partners at the U of M Flint on a monthly basis. And so as questions come funneled through that too, I'm sure we can have lots of dialogue. But what questions do commissioners have about this report? Any? Yes, Commissioner.
First of all, I want to thank you for setting this up. I've always wondered why we didn't have a closer relationship with the assets that the University of Michigan Flint here could provide the community. And through your expertise and your background, you've accomplished that, and I appreciate that. In listening to your report, you sold me right when your first goal said infrastructure. That is what I have been pushing in the background here at the county for some time, that first the infrastructure and the rest will follow after that. So your priorities, in my view, are dead on as far as I've looked at things, and I know Commissioner Shoemaker is adamantly pushed for the same thing as far as infrastructure. And appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to working closer with you as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cousineau. Any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Wayhill.
First, my apologies for my tardiness. Had to stay up and watch the results of the Alaska caucus. That didn't happen until 4 in the morning. Just a question on one of your data points, the regional demographics. Is it true that Grand Blanc Township lost 21% of its population? Or is that a typo?
Might be a typo.
It mirrors the same percentage as City of Flint for the period.
Yeah, that might have been a copy and paste that didn't get changed.
Okay, that's
No, that's true.
and, yeah, I don't intend to embarrass you or anything. I just wanted to point it out so you could fix it.
Yep.
As with Commissioner Cousineau, I'm a supporter of infrastructure investment. We just did some in his district with Clio area and with Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Shoemaker's area down in Mundy and Gaines. And so I think investing dollars in that clearly provides a benefit for economic development, among other things. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, Commissioner Winfrey.
How accessible are your programs to the general public?
Well, in terms of programs, what are you referring
In
to?
terms of like your training, capacity building,
Yeah.
et cetera?
The goal is to have it be extremely available to the public. So as these programs be developed or at least expanded, maybe existing programs that don't have the capacity currently to really have a large, outward, to get people in, or have the capacity to have that many people be a part of a program. The goal would be to get these programs out to the community, in terms of, especially with that workforce development piece and getting these people to be able to have the opportunity to be trained, maybe without having to go to a college for a 4-year degree, sort of thing, where they're going, maybe for a year or less in some cases. And so I know the university is developing these types of programs, hopefully, but we're kind of still at that beginning stage. Again, this plan is for 2023 through 2028. And so we're just at the beginning stages, trying to get the word out to be able to get the feedback in terms of what types of programs might work in people's areas where they're living within each county themselves. We have done some public outreach in terms of when we were developing this plan, but we're planning on doing more true public outreach where we're out in the community across all 3 counties. For example, actually last month in January, I went to Councilman Lewis's Ward 2 community meeting and presented that to her constituents in Ward 2 within the city of Flint. So doing more of that in terms of allowing the community to understand, not just decision makers, policy makers, that sort of thing, but also the community to understand, okay, this is what's going on, this is what we're trying to do within the county, to allow them to be able to grow individually as well.
Commissioner Ellenberg.
Yes, thank you. So I know I'm kind of going on to Commissioner Winfrey's question, is because, we have like a really good hub of skilled trades. So are we working with our units of skilled trade that we offer in Genesee?
Yeah, it will be, yes, for sure. In terms of, that's a big piece of it, not only pushing, having K-12 to universities or colleges, we want to make sure getting to the skilled trades is a viable option in terms of there's enough resources for people to be able to do whatever types of skilled trade they might want to do, sort of thing.
Because like with the infrastructure, and then we're talking about, developing and building and, more housing, affordable housing. And if you look around, I mean, it's always, even with the construction that we've tried to do, at the county level, it's very difficult to find people to do that type of job.
Yeah, 'cause there's
And,
not, yeah.
and it's a good paying job. I mean, it's hard work, but, if they're taught, that's something that will carry on for the rest of their life, that skill. So are we looking at construction?
Yeah, we're looking at all variety of different, options in terms of the skilled trade. But yeah, bringing in the more companies or having people start up companies or that sort of thing at the business side of it, as well as training those, training the workforce to be able to do those jobs is a huge piece of this.
Is there any way that this program, and I don't know if, funding-wise, because I know in Romulus, 321 or 324 engineering, they take students, down so they can see all parts of different skilled trades.
Yep.
But a lot of schools can't afford the transport.
Yep.
Of students. I mean, I've been down there where, some of your bigger schools in Detroit area, they have like 4 buses full I mean, if we could partner like with MTA to bring those kids for education and ideas, because it's all hands-on. I mean, I took my grandson when he was a senior, and it was like, they were excited because they could see a future
Yeah,
of different things. And I
exactly.
think that's what children, or, well, they're not children, they're adults by then, but they need that hands-on of like, I could do this.
Yep.
And they encourage them, and they, actually make stuff and get excited.
Yep.
And so
Yeah,
I think
I
we
know.
can help them.
I know one piece of it is, as we're developing the plan, a part in Shiawassee County, for example, wanting more of a career technical center that they don't really have access to in Shiawassee County, for example. But bringing that, or building that, or developing that type of collaboration, regional collaboration. I know there's, a variety of different tech centers, Genesee County or, in Saginaw County, whatever it might be, but some of our outlying counties don't have that,
Partnerships.
partnerships. And we did have a couple of community input sessions with businesses, and a couple of them were even saying, we would love to have students come and be able to work. It's just, again, transport, having them be able to have the time to be able to come do that and learn and learn hands-on, kind of an apprenticeship type program or internship type programs that kind of aren't as popular as they used to be, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's kind of something we heard, especially in Lapeer and Shiawassee counties, but also in Genesee.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you. I don't see any other questions, and so I also want to thank Paula Nas, who is also in the audience, who's the director for the Economic Development Department at U of M Flint. So I'm really excited about this plan. I'm glad it's been submitted, and I love the metrics, love the evaluation piece, and echo what my fellow commissioner said about the infrastructure piece. And so thank you very much for being such a wonderful partner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any old business?
No, ma'am.
All right, new business. I move Resolution 2024-234, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Commonwealth Heritage Group LLC in an amount not to exceed $60,000 to provide for Section 106 reviews. The term of this agreement is April 28th, 2024 to April 27th, 2027. The cost of this agreement will be paid from account number 004 ending.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Question and discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Is there any other business before this committee? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 9:08.
Good morning, everyone. The meeting of the Governmental Operations Committee is called to order at 9:09 a.m. Roll call.
Commissioner Lloyd, Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker. Present. Commissioner Kuzma.
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill,
I'm here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Thank you. We have the approval of the minutes from February 21st, 2024.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Do we have any public comment before this committee? Do we have any public comment before this committee? No public comment. Thank you. Any communications? No, sir. Any old business? Nope. Under new business, we have Resolution 2024-054, approval of a request by Genesee County 911 to place on the August 2024 ballot an extension and increase of the 911 surcharge.
So moved with question.
It's been moved for discussion and supported. Is there discussion? Commissioner Cousineau.
Although I don't mind having a discussion at this point in time, I will not be able to vote yea or nay, well, I'll vote nay, to put it on the ballot at this point in time because I feel that I need a lot more information. This has just come before us recently. I was just appointed to the 911 committee, and the first meeting since last week is scheduled for next Tuesday, and I'll attend those and I'll get some more information. But I have a number of people that I depend on for resources, for background information, and I've not had the time to, or the ability to meet with them to get some background information on this. And I would like to make an amendment to table the ballot issue at this point in time, but I don't mind having a discussion moving forward because I know Mr. Jones is here to answer any questions, and I don't want to waste his time. So
So that's in the form of a motion?
that's in the form of a motion, yes.
So motion to table, is there support?
I'll support it.
There's support from Commissioner Shoemaker. Is there discussion on the motion to table? Commissioner Ellenberg.
Yes, could we set a time on that today with that motion? For more information, for them to come in and explain it?
No, because I got some questions I want answered before I even discuss that.
Okay, all right.
So further discussion, Commissioner Shoemaker.
In agreement with Commissioner Kuzno, I have some questions I'd like answered also. I have several members of City of Fenton, which everyone, maybe not everyone on this board knows, operates their own dispatch, and funds are distributed at a different level, and they're asking a few questions, and they would like me to get them resolved so they understand where they stand, and I do not know where I stand on that beforehand, so I would like those questions answered also before I am asked to vote, and it's a big issue. What is the drop-dead date to get this on the ballot, though, to be fair?
I'll defer to the Corporation Counsel. I'm not sure if he's prepared to answer that or not.
I'm not prepared to answer that. That would be a question for the clerk's office. I
That's what I
think
was
it's
thinking.
12 or possibly 15 weeks before the election. Yeah, that's not a tough question to answer. I'm just not prepared to answer it.
So we'll get that to the commission. Commissioner Kuzno.
Well, his answer right there just, in my opinion, validated my whole question, where none of us are prepared to move forward at this point in time. There's some basic questions that need to be answered. That's why I wasn't willing to put a date on things. We need to answer a number of things before we move forward.
Is there further discussion? Commissioner Brown, sorry, Dr. Brown.
That's okay. It looks like we have some representatives here from the 911 Commission. If you're a representative, can you raise your hand? Okay, so I would like to hear from maybe one or two of you about some background, just so we can have some information while you're here today. Can we take advantage of your knowledge about this issue? So who's willing to come up and give us a word or two?
Commissioner Kuzno.
Procedure here. The discussion, you have to have a motion passed before you start having discussion. And so.
So the motion on the floor.
I would prefer we do the motions first to table it and then have the discussion, because I would like to talk to them, but I'm not prepared to give an answer as far as yea or nay to put it on the ballot.
So the motion on the floor is to table approval of this until a future date, not set yet. So I think probably we do need to vote on the motion before we have folks speak.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, of
It
course.
sounds like you're making a motion to postpone indefinitely, which is different than a motion to table. If you were moving to postpone this to a future,
Indefinite, then. I changed my motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there support from the second on that? Okay, so the motion is now to postpone indefinitely.
Point of order,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Winfrey.
There's always opportunity for discussion on a motion, is there not?
There is.
So we're still in the discussion phase.
We certainly are. Commissioners may discuss the motion, yes.
So in that light, I think Dr. Beverly's issue should be addressed.
Is there an objection to having folks from the 911 Commission say a few words? Sounds like there might be. Commissioner Kuzno.
I understand what Commissioner Winfrey just said. It's my understanding, though, that the discussion is between us as to how to move forward, not to bring in people from in this case, 911, but the public. That requires the motion to be, some type of a motion to be passed first, in my opinion. Now, we can ask Corporation Counsel for his legal take on it.
We're consulting.
Discussing it, yeah.
Yeah, clearly. They're going to tell me what they come up with. Yeah. Yep. Yep. The discussion is about postponement, not about the substance of the original motion. So the discussion has to be for or against postponement.
Then we can go to, yeah, you're right.
So is there additional discussion about indefinite postponement? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. So we have postponement on that. I will say to the folks that are here from 911, and particularly to the executive director, that I appreciate the tour that you gave me last week so that I could learn more about your facility and your services. And I agree with Commissioner Kuzino that I'd like to get more information. You gave me some last week, and we have your letter. But hopefully we'll have an opportunity as a group to hear more. So with that, we have our second item. Resolution 2024-206, approval of a grant award from the Office of Highway Safety Planning in the amount of $613,355 for the purpose of funding the Genesee County Secondary Road Patrol. The budget for this grant is attached.
Support.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Do we have any other business?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Shoemaker.
would this be a time to allow 911 to come up and actually speak? Could we add that to other?
I think if there's no objection from anyone, that we could allow for that, given they've taken the time to be here.
I'd agree.
So why don't we have the executive director, Mr. Jones, come up? And I don't know if your board chair's here as well, but. We are, sir. Okay. We do, as I said, for the public consumption, we've got a letter from you explaining what you're trying to do, and it sounds like we've got commissioners while you're here that would like to hear a little more.
So good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Tim Jones, the Executive Director. With us is our Corporate Counsel as well, Anthony Chubb. Our Chairperson, Fred Thorsby, who is the Flushing Township Supervisor, Scott Bennett, Township Supervisor Graham Blank, and he is our Vice Chair. You've asked that you need more information, yet you have 2 seats that sit on the 911 consortium. This discussion has been going on since November, when we actually, previous to that, when we adopted our fiscal budget, we knew that our budget was going to be about $640,000 in a deficit. So we knew we were going to have to dig in the piggy bank. The 911 Act is kind of a unique animal. Currently, the surcharge, and what I mean by surcharge is for every cell phone, landline, voice over IP, currently, all of us, when we pull those things out, we pay $1.86 per month, per device. That was set back in 2017. So as we all know, money in 2017 really is a shortcoming in 2024 now. And we see that. It costs more to run the facility, it costs more to pay our staff. We looked at a 5-year forecast and a 10-year forecast to try to see where those funds are going to be able to go. The state limit is $3. It's set by the State 911 Act. That's been set since 2008. The consortium's been around since 1996. We're in a 25-year-old building that was built for 35 people. I currently have over 63 staff members. When we absolved and took on the city of Flint in 2015, our staff had to double. Kind of like working in a sardine can right there. COVID really hurt us. Every one of us got COVID because it's not built to design the current 911 center. Commissioner, you were there the other day. You saw how jammed in we are. We're the 5th largest 911 center in the state of Michigan. Last year, over 470,000 calls for service. That's really almost calling every one of our residents in the county calling us. The intent of us asking for this ballot to go on and add the surcharge increase is because in August, we have already missed the May 15th deadline, and that's set by the state of Michigan. We can only renew our surcharges once a year, and that's May 15th with the state 911. With us going to an August vote, and it passes, we can't file to 2015, May 15th. We wouldn't see the revenue first check in the fall of 2025. The current surcharge is going to end in 26, and by then we'll be close to $2 million in a deficit. So as we look down the road, that deficit gets bigger and bigger. The intent of, in the discussion that has been heard about building a new 911 center, is because we are out of room. We're landlocked on the property that the consortium owns. And so that you all know, the Michigan State Police Post and us share the same building. And next door is 3rd District headquarters for the Michigan State Police. The consortium owns that property. The Michigan State Police leases from us. They're out of space as well. We currently sit in about 8,300 square feet of space. We've had discussions with their people. They want our space if we move out. They currently pay us around $10,400 a month in lease. By building a new 911 center, it would allow for us to look at the next 25 years and be able to grow. We did recently a staffing study through APCO, and that study shows that we should have 66 dispatchers to be able to handle the call volume that goes on in Genesee County. We're currently at 47, and we're still trying to hire. Last year, we hired 21 people, only kept 7. This is not an easy task. This is a job that is a multitasking talent, and you have to have special people to work it. We consulted with Gazelle, John Gazelle, architect firm. They drew up the blueprints for a new 911 center based upon conversations, needs, assessment of what we have now. That building is estimated at current cost today just under $14 million. They're looking at a potential for about another $5 million because we really technically have to build and operate 2 911 centers at the exact same time until the day you switch the switch and you go operational in the new one. Then we would be able to sell off the older equipment, renovate, and allow for the state police to move in. We have currently looked at, in yesterday, in a pretty in-depth conversation with John about existing buildings. Keep in mind, a 911 center is not the same as any other building that you know. Our floor is actually hollow because of all the cabling and wiring and networking that goes underneath. Thousands of miles of wire. You would have to actually dig up the floor of an existing building to put us in there, or raise the floor with a height level up so that you can run all that wiring in there. John specifically said to me yesterday, there are so many unknowns, and to build a building, you're really building a building within a building. In the new 911 center, what we want is to be able to take a direct hit by a tornado, have it bulletproof, secured. Right now, if a car drives into our 911 center, it would devastate us, close the building down, and we have no buffers or barriers to stop it. Last year in the fall, we were able to have the state of Michigan come in and do a security awareness inspection on our building, as well as cyber, to make sure that we could not get intruded in. We passed that test, but we sure didn't pass the test on the security of the building. A vehicle could hit our tower right now and cripple us again. We have no backup center. If we lose our phones, the first thing we can do is grab a couple of kits and go to someplace else and try to set up shop, but it takes some time. By investing in a new future, in a new building that would be hardened and be able to stand a direct hit by a tornado, you need a level 4 building. And a level 4 building is going to cost us money. Can we do something with the current one? No. Can we build up on the top of that one? No. We're out of space and we're out of land. We just went through kind of a reorganization of the parking lot, because when I have full staff in, there's no parking for our staff, because we're sharing the parking with the state police. So the state helped us and we moved things around so we had the ability to even park. One of the things you may not know is since 2017, we spent $6.1 million on radios for every police car and every fire truck in Genesee County. Portable radios and mobile radios. All of those that you see out there, we own them. Over 2,000 radios. We bought those $6.1 million. That was an impact away from local unit governments' budgets. In 2017, we bought fire pagers. We had an old system called UHF. We went to $324,000. We paid for that, so the fire departments didn't have to pay for it. So the local units of government didn't have to pay for it. Last year, $864,000 in mobile data computers. That's what's in the police cars and the fire trucks. We bought those, so the local units of government didn't have to. So our funds are not just operational funds. Our funds are also spent to help our community partners. We do not do anything for EMS because EMS is private here, so we can't use our funds for them. I would say to you that it is extremely important for us to look at timelines, and so how we can approach, because I believe the date that you're looking for is May 14th. It's that week of the filing with the county clerk's office, where we would have to have this ballot language approved and to be able to get on the ballot in August. Delays, even though you have many questions, delays will continue to cause us other issues, and specifically funding. Because again, it's going to take us over a year to even see the revenue to come in. You mentioned, Commissioner Shoemaker, about Fenton City. Fenton City has their own 911. They get a proportion of funding through the county surcharge rate. What this would do is give them about $130,000 more revenue for them. And as you well know, they already have to dip into their general fund just to support their own 911 operations. So this would benefit them as well. I know that there's been some other long-term issues about how that funding mechanism goes, and that's another meeting, another time. So the revenue source is really important because we're one of very few 911 centers still in the state of Michigan that operates totally by nothing other than surcharge funding. Many counties are already at their max at $3, and now they have had to go to millages to continue to support the 911 operations. Saginaw has been this way for quite some time. They have surcharge and a millage to operate their funding. Right now in the 911 plan, if we can't pay our bills, it defaults back to the local units of government based upon their population. It's called Appendix A and B. It lists those municipalities, and then we don't pay our bills, we get to send an invoice back to the local units of government. And we don't want to do that, and we want to continue. The surcharge extending 10 years allows for a couple things. Build a new building, pay it off in 10 years, still have a fund balance of $2.6 million, and it allows for us to put money away, earmarked in the technology fund, to continue looking at purchases in the future for replacing of radios and computers and devices for the local units of government. Unfortunately, when we made the deal in 2017 and bought all those radios, we were able to drive that price down pretty hard. We got a great deal. Those radios now are double the expense. So by policy, the 911 consortium would have to probably look at some other mechanism because we probably can't afford an entire free purchase, but maybe like a 50-50 split with the units of government to buy those radios. Currently, we have a 10-year warranty on the radios that we bought in 2017. So that's a lot of information. That's a lot of stuff to give you. I'm more than willing to spend time and educate and do what we need to make you fully aware. So at this point, I'll take questions.
Can I ask a question, Commissioner?
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
Do you have a site in mind for a new center?
So last Friday, we published a RFP for a civil engineer. Currently, back in the fall, actually around November, I sent a letter to all the consortium members saying, if you have property meeting certain things, such as 10 acres of land, because wherever this new 911 center would possibly go needs to have a fall radius of a new tower on it, a building, parking lot, et cetera. Please let me know. It needs to have existing infrastructure, fiber, things of that nature, so that I don't have to drive the cost of the building up by trying to bring that stuff in. Currently, Fenton Township is in a proposal. Mundy Township is in a proposal. Grand Blanc Township is in a proposal. And Flint Township is in a proposal. Within our consortium, we have a Buildings and Ground Committee here the 1st of April. All of those pieces of property that are being offered will be reviewed by the Buildings and Ground Committee, and then they will select 2 or 3 sites, and then eventually we will have the civil engineer look at those pieces of property to make sure what we're buying is in our best effort. I know that I have a meeting with Mayor Neely next week, and I believe they're going to submit a proposal as well.
Commissioners, Commissioner Avery.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for that thorough explanation. That was very helpful. And we know that items may be presented on the ballot in case that it wasn't a pass. Is there a contingency plan as far as not the piece that you share with us for delay, but if there were to be a non-passing of it, is there another contingency of being prepared for the onset of deficits?
Obviously, we would try, excuse me, obviously we'd try again in November. Between my staff, our public relations team, and the Friends of 911, which is a nonprofit, will help us with this education piece to the public. We were committed to spend the next several months doing everything in the world to explain to the public what we are trying to do, what we've been doing. I actually started sending out things to put 911 in the light of the public. Every month we publish an article in the Big Money magazine that talks about what 911 does, what services we provide outside of the 911 walls. So we've been trying to educate, because most people, they think when they dial 911, they're calling their local police department. A lot of people don't understand that we are one unit and that we dispatch for everybody else. So education is absolutely key.
Thank you.
Do we have additional questions? Commissioner Cousineau.
Jones, what's your present fund balance? Your fund balance that you have now?
I believe we're at 5.6 million. And we're approximately another, so we have about 5.6 in capital assets, approximately just a hair over $1 million in technology fund. Our current income right now is approximately $8.8 million. Our expenditures are $9.4 million with a loss of $620,000 for this fiscal year.
Appreciate that. I'll have to take a closer look at that afterwards. But
Anytime you want, we always
I
will
know
supply.
you're available. I know how to get a hold of you.
One more clarification.
Commissioner Cousineau, do you still want the floor?
No, I'll let somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have more questions. but
Commissioner
I'll
Brown.
yield.
Commissioner Brown.
Is it $3 per one of these devices
Or landline.
or landline?
Any device that basically has a cell phone number or a telephone number.
A unique phone number?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it's cell phone. If you've got a tablet that's got a phone that you're using, voice over IP, fax line, all of those. Per device, per month.
Do we have additional questions or comments? Commissioner Shoemaker, or I mean Cousineau. I'm not in a good place today, am I? Commissioner Cousineau.
No, it doesn't matter who sits up there. You guys confuse us, and I think he looks so much better than me.
My
I don't know
apologies.
why you do
You're
that.
both very handsome gentlemen. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Great. You might have answered this, Mr. Jones. I'm a little confused, though. The situation, the facilities in conjunction with Michigan State Police there, if you build I might have misheard you, but if you build a new building, would then they be part of that new building, or would they stay where they're at?
They are planning on staying where they're at and leasing the space that we give up, which is 8,300 square feet. They're out of room. They actually last fall came to us and said, hey, we need to add on to our building. We even contracted with Gazelle Architect to come up with a plan to add to more to the the district headquarters, but then when they saw us moving towards us leaving, then they kind of considered, hey, maybe we can take over your space.
Well, I guess what that brings to my mind is the state of Michigan's got more money than we do, and what our local residents have for increase. Let them move. Let them build a new post.
That sounds maybe like it would be a key idea, but in reality, I don't know that we'd want to lose that kind of partnership, because third district headquarters,
Move out of there, what kind of partnership is it?
it's like any of the other partnerships that we have with our communities. Every police department, fire department, we all are partners.
Right.
The difference is they're just taking over the space that we have. But we don't want to lose third district headquarters out of this county. And they can move third district headquarters out of this county.
I understand that.
It was a lot to be able to recruit them and bring them from Saginaw to here.
How long ago was that? They've been here forever.
No, it was around 2008, 2009, somewhere right in
That
there.
post has been there for a long time.
No. The building itself,
Yeah.
built 2008. Oh, well, Post 35 used to be at Crown 75. And then they tore that down. We built, Flint Township helped build the state police post as it is, with the 911 center being in it. Lloyd Failing bought the bank next door, and we turned that into third district headquarters and brought them down from Saginaw.
Another question that just fleeted in my mind. Buying the radios and that type of thing. I mean, I know you did that. I used to sit on the Plow Area Fire Authority, so I know how that works. I appreciate that. But how do other communities, other 911 centers handle that? Does the 911 center provide those to the local municipalities, or do they do, like you mentioned, a 50-50 with them, or how's that normally work across the state with other 911
There are
centers?
several 911 centers that do exactly what we do. Some of them do it in a different design, like you said, the 50-50 split. Currently, it's an allowable expense by surcharge 911 funds. It's allowed by the state for us to use because it's considered a device to point-to-point communication. So it's allowed under the surcharge fees to be done. But there's several different ways of doing it. And then some 911 centers said, no, we don't, we're not doing that.
That answers my question. I yield.
You're welcome, Commissioner. Commissioner Brown.
I just have one final perhaps idea now that I understand the scope of your challenge and your problem. Thank you for sharing that information. We are in the process, and we've had, Commissioner Wayhill and I have had meetings with Senator Peters' office, and as a result, we are in the process of formulating a proposal for particular earmark money from the federal government to benefit the county as a whole. And so I'm thinking this might be one of those valid proposals to benefit the county as a whole. And so I'd like to take an opportunity to have a further conversation with Senator Peters' office and maybe with fellow commissioners about putting together a proposal like this so that we can get something sustainable for you, as you've mentioned. And since you already have a proposal ready, you already have it teed up with Gazelle's proposal, I think the timing might be right because this is the season to make those requests right now.
We're aware of that. Matter of fact, Deputy Director Dave Plum and myself were in Washington last week. Last week was actually the time that 911 goes to Washington, so there was approximately 20 of us from Michigan that went to the Capitol Hill, met with our senators and that. We actually met with Senator Peters and had discussions with that. We know that his office right now has grant money out there in funds. So we met with him in person and his staff. We've had this conversation already started, but we would love to be able to have something that would be able to impact, again, jointly, the entire county.
Okay, well, you're ahead of the game then, so maybe we can help advocate for that.
I would love to work with him.
Tim, do you have a grant writer on staff, or is that sort of part of your role, or is it a combined effort among?
Actually, my deputy director has been doing pretty good.
Okay,
at grant
Mr.
selection.
Plum, is that right? Okay.
But we're not experts by any means.
Right. Well, typically grant writers learn by doing, I think. It's my experience from the nonprofit sector. Just to finish up, I do really appreciate the tour last week. I was on actually a ride-along with some of the sheriff's folks, and we stopped in, as you know, and you are in a cramped space for sure. I've got dear friends that work there. One of my most significant concerns is for your staff and their morale and their mental health and their pay, quite frankly. I know that was an issue, or probably still is. It's been mitigated to a degree with some pay increases, but those folks are under tremendous strain, and my hat's off to them. I could not do their job. But it sounds like we're going to get information from the clerk's office as to when we would need to act, should we want this to go onto the August ballot. My guess is we'll also be in touch with you, and maybe we can have a sit-down with some of us or all of us. Sometimes we do study sessions. We actually had one last night till 8 o'clock on a couple of other issues, not this one, but other issues where we really have to dig into them. So perhaps we can do that in the next few weeks.
I'm open to whatever that you would like, and there's no hidden secrets here. It's just how to do business and how do we move in the future.
Understood. Commissioner Cousineau.
I think that would be a great idea to, have a workshop, and I appreciate all the information you give us today. My reluctance is just bringing myself up to a knowledge base to make an informed decision, and I know you haven't done anything in a non-transparent way. You've been very transparent. But I think that we all would be in a better position to just get a little more information and have a workshop like that. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman, if you would, please, now that there's been new appointments, would you send me something in writing, because by our bylaws, we have to have it in writing, and then appointing who sits on the general membership and who sits on the executive?
I'll send you
Because they
copies of the
can't vote.
resolutions right now.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Tim. Thank you to the members of your board and your legal counsel for being with us today, and we will be in touch.
All right, very good. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
your time.
Under other business, I do have a request from Sheriff Swanson to give us an update on activities in his area, so we're going to welcome him to the podium.
Mr. Chair, before,
Mr. Shoemaker.
Chris, not to cut you off, I have my hand up. I'm sorry. I had one other question. Real quick, this is for Mr. Freeman. It is my understanding, though, that even if this resolution is passed for the city of Fenton, this board would have to take action to increase any funds going to the city of Fenton.
I don't remember the exact details. I think they get a percentage. That is not the percentage they want. So that would increase, they would get an increase as well without any further action of this board,
Okay,
based on the agreement.
thank you for answering. Sorry, Sheriff.
Thank you.
All right, Sheriff, you're up.
Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome.
Chair. A couple things before I bring what I'm coming here to tell you to forefront. Number one, I do appreciate when the commissioners come to any county business office to get a real taste and feel of it, taking tours and ride-alongs. That helps us who are behind me articulate what we need when you can see it firsthand. So I just appreciate your engagement. And I do want to say, as a consumer of 911 for 31 years, under Tim Jones, it is the best 911 center, the best operating command staff that I have ever witnessed. I'm an executive board member, and a lot of credit goes to you, Tim Jones. I'll say that from the highest mountaintop. When he speaks with authority and experience. So just my confirmation that he's the right guy. I do want to tell you that I also bring a problem and a solution. It's a problem that every one of us in this room has been touched personally, and that is the opiate addiction, not only in this county, in the state, in the country. And when you look at what's happened just in the last week, and not only the sheriff's office, but in the entire community, we have to work together to do a little bit more. If you think about every single day in Genesee County, City of Flint and Out County, 2 to 4 people overdose per day. 956 total in the last calendar year, with 233 deaths. Many times we focus on the murder rate of a particular location. But if you look at the murder rate of opiates in Genesee County, it's 233 people that are taking illegal opiates and losing their life. Now, I say that because with all the stopgaps we put in as a community, our EMS system, I'm going to talk about Narcan, I'm going to talk about education, I'm going to talk about all these things, it still is going to plague us. So the answer of the response is, what do we do to slow this down? What do we do to reverse course? And I tell you, when we put all those in play, even in the jail, we had a female that was arrested and brought to jail on the 22nd of February, and in the back of the patrol car with a male arresting officer, which is our protocol, we can only pat down for weapons but not search. And we didn't find the drugs that she concealed in a cavity, which is very common for both males and females. And those drugs, 20 grams of fentanyl and methamphetamine, were distributed within the female housing, causing 4 overdeaths. 4 overdoses that were reversed because of Narcan and the treatment of our medical team. And deputies that saw it and found an additional 20 grams of opiates. That's in the jail. And on top of that, when you think of the opiate crisis that's being talked about on the news programs that you watch, this is not going to go away. And it impacts all of us. So the what to do starts with the most basic, and that is Narcan. And you've heard it, we've preached it, but I have a different suggestion. We work very, very well with our Flint Health Coalition, Jim Ananick, the leader, the director, and Kelly Ainsworth. They put Narcan in rest areas and big box stores, and we carry it. But I would love to work with the county board and to write a resolution and a requirement that every county employee in our county is issued Narcan, is trained, and I'd be happy to help train. The more we can get this in the hands of people for a quick response, you never know where you are. You just grab it, and it's free. You should never pay for Narcan. Of those 233 deaths, we saved 733. Imagine the murder rate of Genesee County being 956 in 2024, 2023, the year prior. That would be stunning. We would be talking about that. And I think it's important that we are both reactive, which we are, but also proactive. And I just put that out there to also tell you that I'd be willing to help burden that load to get this out to every county employee, and that every municipality. I see Supervisor from Grand Lake Township, Scott Bennett here, to require municipalities to say, this is our protocol. We're putting Narcan in the hands of our people, take it home, put it in your cars, unlimited supply. The second solution is a body scanner that's coming to your board. We have it out for RFP. We have questions that can be submitted by our businesses that are going to supply that until the middle of March. And then around the second week of April, it's going to close. And a body scanner is about $150,000. And most major organizations that have people coming in, prisons and jails, they do have body scanners. It's non-invasive, and it's to keep from what happened in the jail happening. And as you know, when we have a death in the jail, it's very common that we're going to get sued. So if we can keep people from overdosing and dying in the jail, even though we do everything as a county, this is one of those pieces of equipment that is absolutely necessary to keep our people safe, both the staff and those that we incarcerate. Again, that RFP process is our process. I'm thankful for purchasing and fiscal services. I will add that that money is because of Jim Ananick. Anybody who's done any business in Lansing, and I hope that he or his staff are watching right now, the name Ananick is a resounding name of get it done in Lansing. And here he is gone for almost a year, and we're still reaping the benefits of his success. So it's not even county board general fund money, but that's coming your way. The other thing, and I'll end here, is GHOST is more than just human trafficking. It's something that from the beginning, I added the word oppression, because anything that takes away the life or the hope of a community, that's oppressive. And it's human oppression. And just like human trafficking, opiates are just as dangerous in many ways. And so I came to you, and you may have heard of Operation Vigilant. And it's an added burden. I haven't come to you asking for more staff. But we have pivoted, and on top of our human trafficking enforcement, which I'm so thankful for the funding and the belief in what we're doing in Ghost, but we now work the supply chain. FANG is the complement of what we're doing in Ghost, but many times we're using undercover officers and confidential informants to go make purchases. You have to have multiple purchases, probable cause, get a search warrant, and we're raiding houses. That's high risk, many times low reward. But what's coming in on the streets and on the expressways that pass you every single day is the supply, 85% of it, on the cars and the RVs and the trucks driving right next to you. 75, 23, 475, 69, and every secondary road. Now, without getting into all the technology, but I just want to thank you because you approved license plate readers under Operation Vigilant. And we have teams out as we speak that are using that technology, which is nationwide, to track the movement of narcotics, to break drug trafficking organizations. And I say that without getting into much detail. I'll be happy to have off the record conversation with you, but I can't do my job without you. But I do know when you have multiple deaths and when you have inmates that are dropping every 15 minutes because of a supply that wasn't caught, my job is to let you know that we're doing our job, and I need to share that with you that there's more that can be done. And many times government is blamed for not helping as much, but I think we're doing a fabulous job. So that's the issue I bring to you. It happened firsthand. We've already had deputies that have been infected and impacted because of fentanyl. You've seen those videos, but I come before you today to tell you that this is a problem we're dealing with, and this is how we're dealing with it. And I appreciate and look forward to additional support. Mr. Chair?
Thank you for the update, Sheriff. Do we have any comments or questions from the commission? All right, thank you for loaning Captain Cronkite to me last week for the ride-along. At one point, he said we might have a foot chase, and I got very, very concerned, but that did not end up happening. But he's a gentleman and very capable professional.
Well, when your shift was done, he came to me and I said, give him an application, we're hiring.
I don't know about that, but thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff. I don't believe we have any other business, so we are going to adjourn government operations at 9:57. You and me.
I call the Finance Committee to order at 10:05. Roll call, please. Commissioner Lloyd?
Commissioner Winfrey?
Here,
Commissioner Ellenberg?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker? Commissioner Kuzma?
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill? Here. Commissioner Davis?
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, we take time for public comment to the committee. Is there anyone that wishes to address the committee? Is there
Mr. Chair, I
anybody-
think you need to do the minutes.
You kinda skipped
I'm
one.
sorry, I skipped one again? Man, I got happy with this check off list.
You and I are helping each other.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it, but at any rate, looking for a motion to approve the minutes of February 21st. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now we take time for public comment to the committee. I've already asked twice, this is the third time. Is there anybody that wishes to come up here? Public comment is now closed.
We're gonna adjourn now.
Is that a motion? Is there any communications to the committee? None. Old business, none. New business, Resolution 24-148, approval of agreement between Genesee County and THA Architects, Engineers. I got the wrong agenda even, my goodness. How'd that happen?
Is it Monday?
All right, I've already checked off a bunch of stuff on Public Works.
That's okay.
Resolution 24-181, approval of a request by Genesee County's Park and Recreation Commission to apply for a grant in the amount of $150,000 from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to provide for the development of a sports field at Burston Fieldhouse. Any required match will be provided by the Friends of Burston.
Support. Did somebody move it? Oh, I move it.
support.
Oh, he usually
Okay,
moves
thank you.
it.
Yeah, at committee level, I let the committee make the motion and support.
Okay.
After that, then when we do it during the general or the full board, then I make the motion because it was passed in my committee and then support. That's how I do it. I don't know, Brian, can you look that up?
Yes, you're right. That makes sense. Thank you.
I do have a question. Is there somebody from the parks out there? Mr. Retirement? Okay, is Burston part of the parks?
No, we have a partnership agreement with the city of Flint that enables us to apply for grants for different parks in the city.
But that's not a park.
It is a park, it's a field house and a park.
Okay, so that's part of their park system and therefore part of our park system
Correct, it's,
with the agreement. Okay, I just didn't understand that. The other question I had is that if there's a problem with noncompliance of the $150,000, like, we have to deal with grants that go to the city, to the county, and if we are found to be noncompliant, we have to pay it back, which, we have a little bit of that. Is the county on the legal line to pay back if this isn't used properly upon an audit?
that'd be a question for corporate counsel, I believe.
I didn't want to ask him.
But, we're pretty strict about how we go about with these grants and how we do the spending. And, that's why we do it instead of letting the city do it. Because we're pretty experienced at it.
Okay, so
and
you
the
would,
compliance with the grant.
you would be overseeing it, has it spent through the board of directors that Burston has, if that's the proper term?
Well, all the fiduciary would come through us, so we would have to make sure all the expenses were legitimate and before we, and then, once those expenses are in, that's a reimbursement grant. So then we'd have to give that information to the state before they paid us back, so absolutely, we'd have to make that sure. But
Okay, as
in the
long as
very final end, I guess that question is for corporate counsel. We've never had an issue with those grants and the.
Yeah, well, I know,
55
I was
years.
just asking a question in general because I didn't realize the Burston was part of the park system.
Right.
and maybe, I don't have a problem moving forward, but maybe Mr. McMillan can look that up and, provide that information to me at a later date.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Did we approve a similar grant recently for
For,
athletic fields at Burston?
we did, it was for acquisition grant, it was $18,000 acquisition grant that was awarded, actually.
No, there was one on the last agenda, similar circumstances from the
Had
trust fund.
matching.
Had two.
Oh, the development grant, right?
Is there any other questions by members of the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-199, approval of an extension to the expanding telehealth grant. This extension will extend through May 23rd, 2024.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-203, approval of a request to grant and post and fill 2 interns at the Genesee County's Office of the Public Defender. These are grant-funded positions.
I move it.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-205, approval of request to create, post, and fill 1 Defender Specialist position. Position is fully grant-funded.
So moved.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions by the committee? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-255, approval of a grant award from 27-OH in the amount of $12,000, $43.46 to provide for the purchase of medical equipment and shot clinics.
So moved.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-236, approval of a purchase order to Fenway Sports in an amount not to exceed $50,200 to provide for the purchase of a 2023 Polar Craft boat for the Marine Division. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from account as follows.
I move it.
Support.
Okay, I just have one question. Is somebody from the sheriff's, okay, thanks. This is obviously, of course, a new boat. Is this replacing a boat or in addition to what you have?
Through you, sir, I actually have two boats right now. One is, it isn't very good out there. When waves kick up, they splash onto the boat. This one we're purchasing is going to be for Marine Patrol to patrol all the lakes in our county, and also for our divers. It's going to be a dual boat for both.
Okay.
Because the boat that we use for diving now is an old pontoon boat, and it's just not safe. We use it when we have to. This is going to help with that also for dives.
Okay, so this is an addition. You're not getting rid of the old ones even though they
Correct.
are
We're going to
old.
keep that just in case one goes down.
As a
that way.
backup.
As a backup, even though it doesn't work, should have never been purchased many years ago.
Okay. All right, thanks, Undersheriff. Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-238, approval of a purchase of a proposed budget amendment to the 23-24 appropriations resolution for various line items as described in the attached budget amendment.
Move approval.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Resolution 24-240, forward to receive and file a copy of the paid county bills for the weeks ending 2/11/24 to 18/24 in the total amount of $9,048,424.40.
So move.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-278, approval of a grant award from MALPH-LHD in the amount of $45,000 to provide for the supportive services for the staff affected by the pandemic.
So moved.
I'll support, it should be $4,500.
I misspoke. You're correct, yes. Is there any other comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 24-267, approval of the fiscal year 2023 deficit elimination plan and directing the Office of Fiscal Services to submit the plan to the state of Michigan.
So move.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions concerning this? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there any other business?
No.
Good. We are now adjourned at 10:16.
This meeting order at 10:17. Yep, that's right. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd, Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
Present.
Commissioner Kuzma.
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
I could have approval of the minutes for February 21st.
So move.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any public comment at this time? Any public comment? Third time, any public comment? Seeing none, any communications?
No.
Old business? New business, Resolution 2024-148, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and THA Architect Engineers in the amount not to exceed $58,000 to provide design and planning for the Genesee County Legal Resource Center and Legal Records Division at Genesee County Circuit Court.
Move it.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Mr. Shoemaker.
Is this a budgeted item?
Pardon?
Was this in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Would anybody like any explanation? I know Barb's here. Would you like to come up
Yeah.
and explain? Thank you, Barb.
Thank you very much. I hope within the next 60 days to bring over a dazzling presentation for all of you about the status of the Legal Resource Center. I'll just give you just a thumbnail sketch, and I can come back another time, and we can talk about it a little bit more. But the plan has been, as I think you know, that the law library is converted into a legal resource center to better address the court users that are without counsel. And it's actually a blending of the Legal Records Division office, the point of filing in the circuit court, with what is now the law library and will be the Legal Resource Center, because right now people are sort of parceled between those two entities to try to perfect their filings. So the first thing that we did, we received a $100,000 grant from the Michigan Supreme Court, which is the most that anybody could receive when we made that application about 2 cycles ago. We received that grant, which was the genesis of starting this project, and we received a second one for $75,000, which has really gone a long way to assist us in moving in the direction of an opening at some point in time. We recycled over 15,000 hard copy books, so if you were to come to the now law library right now, you'd see mostly empty shelves that our purchasing director is helping us even sell the shelving, if you will, so we can recoup some of the expenditures when those were originally made for the library in around 2000, 2003. Step 1. Step 2, an RFP was put out for a kiosk project, And it's not just kiosks, so somebody walks up to it and they learn a little bit of information. It's you've made your way to the Legal Resource Center, and there will be 7 kiosks located strategically within the center. And it will connect you with services, it'll connect you with forms, it'll connect you with who do you need to talk to. And it's not just, here's the phone number, you're on your own. It's an actual connection to talk to somebody. So perhaps the front of the court would have somebody on site 2 days a week or 2 half-days a week with a little sort of boutique office that is part of the design plan, so that you could talk to someone right on site about a child support modification issue, for example. Or if it's not the days that they're there, it'll connect you by telephone, so you talk to somebody down there as to when you can talk to someone either there or back at the Legal Resource Center. It'll connect you with forms. It'll connect you with the Michigan Legal Help research site. The YWCA is on site 2 days a week now, in sort of a hole in the wall that we have them in, but we'll bring them back into the Legal Resource Center when we're online. And the Legal Services of Eastern Michigan are there and doing clinics. So the whole center design is to be opening to people. There are going to be a lot of glass as you come in, not courtroom-looking doors, so that you're kind of intimidated and don't want to go in. It'll be open to people. And right now, we keep track of how many people come into the law library / Legal Resource Center to use that Michigan Legal Help resource, and we have to gather demographics for that so the state can sort of analyze all around the state in all the legal resource centers, who's using the center, why are they there, how many times have they been there, were they satisfied with the information that they've received. So it's a whole new way of thinking about the delivery of assistance to self-represented litigants. And I'm going to say within 60 days I can come back and give you a more structured overview. I hope to overperform on that and do it well within that time. And I'll certainly talk to Mr. Freeman about what's the appropriate meeting that I should come to speak about that on.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
Madam Chair, thank you. Through you to Barb. Am I correct that people who are presently in the jail, incarcerated, will have access to the Legal Resource Center in some way? They won't.
No, it's for non-criminal. All the criminal support and assistance goes through Mr. Perry's Michigan Indigent Defense Commission supported public defender office.
I see, okay. For some reason, when this topic was before us, I thought that there was some, maybe I'm thinking of something else, that the folks in the jail had access to this. Am I right that you physically have to go there to access the resources, or can you do it remotely?
Anyone who has an electronic device that can connect with the internet can go to Michigan Legal Help.
Yeah.
That's provided by the Supreme Court and the State Bar of Michigan. So that's fine. But what we have come to discover is many people just aren't capable of doing that, frankly. It's just too intimidating. They don't understand the pretty good instructions about fill this out, fill that out, serve this person, et cetera. They just can't do it. So that's why we are required to have what's called the navigator. So if you're a Michigan Legal Help official location, which we are, we have a designated paralegal that's called the navigator.
And the navigator services are delivered in person, it sounds like. Then last question, how do you or how will you get the word out to the community about the ability for them to come in and get access?
There are several ways. We're trying to do it now, I should say. And that is, we have literature that they send us from the Michigan Legal Help office in Lansing. We prominently display that throughout the court. We work with the Genesee County Bar Association Pro Bono project to get that out. Legal Services distributes that information. And even with not very much distribution, I might say, we're seeing probably 40 people every Monday between 10 and 4 o'clock just for Legal Services to have a conference with them. So it'll grow as the center becomes more prominent and fully operational.
Yeah, my guess is you'll have organic word of mouth as well as people are served by the navigator and others, they'll spread the word.
Probably 70% of the people who come to the circuit court to file for a domestic matter, whether it's a divorce or a child support matter, child custody issue, do not have counsel.
Yeah. So
now, if you would go back 10 years, those statistics would be dramatically different.
Important service. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, my question was going to be, isn't there a paralegal there full-time and that person is also considered a navigator?
It's the same person.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
that's what I thought.
Yes,
So I just wanted to thank you for initially getting that $100,000 grant and then the follow-up grant, and for all the work and your vision for pulling this effort together. I just applaud you for taking care of all of the details, and it sounds like it's going to be a really comprehensive project for community, citizens in our community. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for the support.
Any other questions? Thank you, Barb.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 2024-230, approval of a purchase order to CrowdStrike Cybersecurity for the fiscal year ending 2024 in the amount not to exceed $95,272.62 to provide for antivirus and firewall protection.
Move it.
Been moved? Support. And supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 2024-232, approval or modification number 3 of an agreement between Genesee County and Wade Trim in the amount of $1,094,500 to provide for continued project management of the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project.
Move it.
Been moved.
Support with question.
It's supported. Ms. Crum.
Can you, is there somebody, oh, hi, Barry. We're going to make you work before you retire. Work harder, I should say. Can you talk a little bit about this $1 million allocation in the project management and how long, it says provide for the continued project management? How long is it going to continue for?
Until we finish, which will hopefully be 2026.
Okay.
So as you're all aware, the state granted us a $30 million ARPA grant to build the state park. We've contracted with Wade Trim in 2020 to do the engineering of the project. Now that we actually, the second item is going to be to hire a contractor that we bid out and want to award a contract to. And what happens as we move along and the project develops, of course, the engineers come up against different obstacles that they couldn't see 2 years ago. And so they have to come and say, all right, well, we had to encounter with the Army Corps of Engineers, and we didn't really, that wasn't really part of the deal. They asked a bunch of questions we had to answer, and it's going to cost us more money to do that. And so we have to reimburse them for that. And then there's also things that come up, like we got into the Grand Fountain. We're going to have to do some work to redevelop that Grand Fountain to get it operational. So they put some funds in there, some budget. So these are actually budget items. They're not necessarily that we're going to spend that money, but it allows us to give them the okay to work on something without coming back and having another amendment to the project every time we want to do something. So hopefully that answers your question. It's basically as we move along, unknown things pop up and we have to do an amendment to compensate them for those.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 2024-233, approval on agreement between Genesee County and Granger Construction Company in the amount not to exceed $13,168,000 to provide for the continued work on the Flint River Restoration Project.
I move it.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions? Mr. Kuzno.
What is this line item? Where's that come from? The money, where's it come from?
So this will come from a combination of grants, ARPA funds, and City of Flint escrow funds from the sale of Chevy Commons.
Okay, so the money's already there.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Mr. Shoemaker.
Through the chair, Mr. June, my question is, how much of the $30 million you've received in ARPA for this project have you used so far? Do you know?
About 400,000.
So this is the first major.
Correct.
That's all right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Barry. Any other business? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned at 10:30.